Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. So dear students, I hope you all are keeping well and you must be taking all the precautionary measures against COVID-19. So stay home, stay healthy, stay safe. So today in this video we are going to read Poem-2, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. As we have finished first poem, in my last video I had finished chapter 3 in Vistas, A Journey to the End of the World, written by Tishani Doshi. Today in this video we are going to start poem 2, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender, and poem 1, My Mother at 66 by Kamla Das, we had finished already. So first of all, as we always do, we will talk about the author, the poet, poet's work, his achievements, okay, all about the poet. Then I will read out the poem and explain line by line. So let us discuss about the poem with the help of PPT. I'll show you with the help of a PPT, we will discuss about the poem, theme of the poem and about the poet. So let me show you the PPT on your screen. An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. About the poet, Stephen Spender, who lived between 1909 to 1995, was a poet and English essayist. Spender had keen interest in politics, and so he declared himself as socialist and pacifist. His work contracted on theme of social injustice and the class struggle. Okay, so this is all about the poet. You can know more about the poet from your book Stephen Spender, who lived between 1909 to 1995, who lived between 1909 and 1995, was an English poet and essayist. He left University College, Oxford, without taking a degree and went in Berlin in 1930. Spender took a keen interest in politics and declared himself to be a socialist and pacifist. Books by Spender include Poems of Dedication, The Edge of Being, The Creative Element, The Struggle of the Modern, and an autobiography, World Within World. In An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, he has concentrated on themes of social injustice and class inequalities. So the poem which we are going to read, so let us go through the introduction of the poem, which we are going to read. An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum was published by Stephen Spender in 1964. The poem resonates the poet's political views and brings forth the difficulties faced by the kids in slums. The poem, written by Stephen Spender, describes the social inequalities which are prevailing in the society. In the poem, he describes the condition of the students of an elementary school which is situated in a slum area. The poet wants to draw attention of everyone towards these kids so that their life can be improved and they may get trained and to become good citizens rather than criminals. Theme of the poetry. The theme of poetry is principal to poem, an elementary school classroom in a slum. Spender creates a crisp image of children in poverty through his descriptions of dire situations and malnourished students, revealing a sad hidden segment of society that was prevalent throughout the world. He is not commenting directly on any particular nation in his poem. Instead, he exposes the widespread neglect of children of all nationalities, races, and ethnicities. Spender believes this poverty is created through the oppressive power of capitalism. So, as the poet is having a political view, so here in this poem, the poet exposes the people who are not doing anything for the slum children. He also tells us that how the people, those who are in power, they have exploited these people. So dear students, now open your book and look at it, page number 92. Let's begin the poem. Have you ever visited or seen an elementary school in a slum? What does it look like? So the poet asks us where we have visited to any elementary school. Elementary school means, primary school. So have you ever visited any primary school in a slum? So you may have visited, their students. The condition of slum area is too bad if we talk about schools in slum area. So first of all, they are rarely found. However, if you find them, they are in very critical condition. Even teachers are not available in the school. So in this poem, the poet Stephen Spender talks about such a school in a slum area. So let us go through the poem and come to know what the poet reveals about the elementary school, about the primary school of a slum. Far, far from gusty waves, the children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. The tall girl with her wet down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lessons from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So before explaining the first paragraph, the first stanza, let me write down some difficult words and their meanings from stanza 1. First word is gusty. So gusty means, dear students, stormy. Gusty means stormy. Next word, wet down. Wet down. Wet down means depressed due to burden. Depressed due to burden. Next word is seeming. Paper seeming. Sorry. Paper seeming. Paper seeming means thin or lean and thin. Okay, thin here. If we write lean and thin, then it would be more appropriate. Reciting. Means telling. Okay. Now let us read out and try to understand what does the poet say in first stanza. Far, far from gusty waves, the children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. The poet here, in this poem, the first stanza of the poem, the poet, actually in whole poem, the poet tells us about the condition of the children who are sitting in a slum classroom. In the first stanza, the poet says that the children, the students who are sitting in the slum classroom, they are far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces like rootless weeds. So he says that the children, those who are sitting in the slum classroom, they are far away from the gusty waves of the sea. So here the poet wants to say that the natural beauty is out of the reach of the children. Okay, so the poet wants to say that the children who is sitting in the slum classroom, they are far from the gusty waves, the stormy waves of the sea. It means the natural things are out of reach for the children. Like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Further he says that their hair, they became like rootless weeds, like dry weeds. Dry weeds means unwanted plant. Their hair have become like unwanted plant, and they are scattering on their face, torn round their pallor. So they are scattering on their face. The tall girl with her weighed down head, and the tall girl, further the poets starts describing some of the students of that slum classroom. He says that a tall girl is sitting in the classroom with weighed down. Weighed down means her head is down due to due to burden of the depressed, due to her, she is depressed due to burden. Her head down, she said, the poet says, the tall girl with her weighed down head. So a tall girl is sitting in the classroom whose head is down, means the girl is depressed due to the burden. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones, residing a father's nail disease. Further, he tells us that a boy who is sitting in the classroom, the boy looks as lean and thin as a paper. So here the boy has been compared to a paper, and the poet says that the poet wants to say that the boy looks very lean and thin. The boy who is sitting in the classroom looks very lean and thin. So, they were not getting, proper nourishment. They were not getting proper food. They were the victim of malnutrition. That is why their hair has been described rootless, like rootless weeds. And the tall girl could not, even she could not bear the weight of her head. She is depressed. And the boy is very thin, because all the children are the victim of malnutrition. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, deciding a father's nail disease. The stunted, unlucky heir. So the boy is short, and he is unlucky heir of the, a father's nail disease. The stunted boy. So he tells us another boy who is stunted, who is, very short, and unlucky heir of twisted bones, residing a father's nail disease. And that boy is unlucky heir of twisted bones, as this is a disease which he has got from his father. So he is the victim of genetic disease. Okay, so he has got the nail disease, that is called in Hindi Gatiya Rog, okay, from his father. So the stunted boy in the class who has got this nail disease from his father, who is the victim of a genetic disease. So here, as of now, we have seen in the poem, the poet has described three students of the classroom. First, the girl who is depressed due to burden, and the paper seeming boy who is very lean and thin, and the third one, the boy who is the victim of the disease which he has got from his father. His lessons from his desk, and the boy is reading his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. Further he says that at the back of the dim class, yes, there is no enough light in the class. Even there is no enough light in the class, there is a dim class. So he says that at the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young boy is sitting. At the back of the dim class, a young unnoted boy is sitting. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game, and the boy's eyes live in the game of squirrel's game. The boy in the tree room other than this. So the boy is not attentive in the class. He is dreaming of squirrel game. He could not focus what is taught in the class. He is dreaming of squirrel's game in the forest. Okay, so in the first stanza we have seen that, dear students, the poet described the students of slum children, how they are the victim of malnutrition, how the classroom is dim, how the students cannot focus towards their studies because they are the victim of malnutrition. So if you are not healthy, if you are not having good health, so you cannot do anything with proper attention. So these children are the victim of malnutrition. let us once again uh, revise me what we have discussed, what we have read in the first stanza. Let me show you the PPT on your screen and once again discuss the whole explanation. So once again, dear students, look at the lines. Far, far from gusty waves, the children's faces like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her wet down head, the paper seeming boy with the rat's eyes, the stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lessons from his desk at back of the dim class, one unnoted sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So what does the poet say? So in the first stanza, the poet describes the children who study in an elementary school which is set up in a slum area. The poet says that the faces of children are dull and without any energy. They are not full of energy like other kids of their age. These children are compared to unwanted weeds. Here, the writer wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted like the unwanted weeds which grow on their own in the fields. The hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy. They haven't combed their hair. Then he describes a tall girl who seems to be burdened by poverty. Her head is bent, maybe because of tiredness or shame. There is another boy who is so weak and thin that he has been compared to a sheet of paper. The boy's eyes reflect greed and he wants to achieve everything. Then he describes another student who is physically disabled. So the poet says that this boy is unlucky because he inherited a disease from his father, due to which he has a deformed body. Instead of getting any facility from his father, he has received a disease inheritance. This disabled boy is sitting on his bench and is reciting his lesson. At the back of the class, in dim, dark area, was a small boy who was not visible to the poet as he was sitting in darkness. The poet could see his eyes, which were bright and full of dream. He was not paying attention to the class. It seemed as if he was neither interested in playing with squirrels. It seemed as if he was rather interested in playing with squirrels in tree house. Okay, it's all about it. So we have gone through first stanza 2 times. So I hope now first stanza is clear to you. Let me show you some pictures here. So this is the picture of the slum classroom which we are talking about, dear students, as you can see on your screen. So how ugly it looks. Okay, so here, dear students, you can see the picture of a slum classroom, how the children are looking, how they are the victim of malnutrition. So these are some more pictures here. Stunted growth. So growth which is not undergoing properly. So these are the pictures of slum children, dear students, which you can see on your screen. Also, we have read a lot about this is the squirrel, and as that young boy was dreaming of squirrel, so he was hoping something best, even though he was sitting in the slum classroom. So this is the condition, dear students. And also in the first lesson we have read about the slum children of Simapuri. In the second lesson of Flamingo, in the last spring, we have read two stories about slum children. One, the slum children of Simapuri, and other one, the bangle makers of Firozabad. Okay, now let us discuss the second stanza. Look at the second stanza now. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized storm riding all cities, belled, flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map awarding the world its world. And yet for thee children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of the world. So let me write down some difficult words and their meanings. Capes means a place of high land. Capes means a place of high land. Capes means a place of high land. Next word. Okay, rest we know very well. Okay, so you must write all the words and their meanings in your notebook. In the next stanza, the poet tells us about the condition of the classroom. The poet describes that on sour cream walls, donations. So on sour cream walls, on the walls which has become colorless, the walls which has become colorless, on those walls, the name of the person who have given donations, the name of the persons who have given donations are written. Further, the poet says that the poet tells us in the first stanza, the poet tells us the condition of the students who are sitting in the slum classroom, while in the second stanza, the poet tells us about the condition of the classroom in which these children are sitting. So the poet says, on sour cream walls, donations. On sour cream walls, on walls which have become colorless, the people who have given donations, their names are written. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized storm riding all cities. So apart from these names, Shakespeare's head is there. Cloudless at dawn, and the picture which showing cloudless at dawn, cloudless at early morning is there. Civilized dome riding all the cities. Civilized dome has been shown. I will show you in the slide, after explaining these lines. is there. So what does all these things reflect? The name of the people who have given donations, their names are there on the wall, and Shakespeare's head. Here Shakespeare's head, as Shakespeare is famous for his literary excellence. So Shakespeare's head is there, and cloudless at dawn. So scenes which are put on the walls, they are very beautiful. They shows the excellence. They shows the powerful people. This is what the poet want to say. Belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley. So apart from these, belled, full of bell and full of flowers. So Tyrolese valley is also there. Tyrolese valley pertaining to the Tyrol, an Austrian, Tyrolese valley is there, which is full of bell and flowers. Open-handed map awarding the world its world. And an open-handed map has been made, which is showing its world, which is imposing the beautiful world, which is imposing the world which has been created by the powerful people. The world which has been shown on the map, this world has been created by the powerful people, and the children who are sitting in the classroom, it cannot be related to these children, as these children are far away from the civilized world. So this map is just being imposed to these children. And yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of the world. So further the poet says that for these children, this world is not their world. This is just being imposed to them. Their real world is the slum world in which they live. And their world is painted with the fog, painted with the uncertainty. Their future has been painted with the fog. Their future has been painted, with the uncertainty, hopelessness. A narrow street sealed in with the lead sky. A narrow street which seems to be sealed. They cannot go out of these narrow streets. That is why the poet says that they have been sealed for them. They cannot look at the sky, open sky, as these narrow lanes. They cannot come out. Opportunities are not for them. So that is why they have been sealed in this slum area. Far, far from rivers, capes and stars of the world. So they are away from these natural beauties like rivers, capes, a place of highland, and stars of the words. So these children are devoid of this civilized world, the world which is civilized and which enjoys the natural beauty. So it's all about the second stanza. In my next video, once again I'll show you some pictures related to second stanza, and we will once again revise both the stanza, and the remaining stanzas will be finished in my next video. So thank you students for watching this video. See you tomorrow.